So now that we've got the track view working, we want to start working on the controller part of the model view controller, which is going to control the view and the model. In this example, it doesn't have to update the model, which is part of the model view controller paradigm at the very beginning, is that the controller would update the data. It doesn't really have to update the data, it simply has to read the data and also work out the mechanics, which is somehow taking us to a slightly different version of the model view controller that we know it. What I'm going to do here is create a new game object, which I'm going to call game play manager or controller, like this. And I'm going to reset its position and I'm going to add a new component, which I'm going to call gameplay controller, like this. And there I'm also going to reposition this script here in the script folder, and now I'm gonna start edit this gameplay controller. First thing again, I'm going to add the namespace here so that all classes are within the same namespace. And now I'm going to start working on this. So I'm going to keep the start message and the update message as well. One of the rules of the gameplay controller here will be to take the inputs. Soon enough, you want to take the inputs part out of the gameplay controller so that you can have a gameplay controller that is totally independent from the platform. And this is something that we're going to touch on in a later chapter as to how to handle multi-platform inputs and manage multi-platform inputs and display settings. But for now, we're just going to put the inputs in the gameplay controller. And basically what I want to do within the update is to test if such or such key has been pressed or such button has been pressed. And there are two ways to do this in Unity. You can either use the input settings or you can use a key code. And what I'm going to do here is use a key code because it allows us to use either a keyboard or a gamepad as well. So there I'm going to start using a header, and I'll call this here inputs, like this. And there I'll add a new key code field, which I'm going to call left, like this. And same thing, it's going to be private and it's going to be serialized. So I'm going to do this like this. Whoops. And so left, down, up, and right, like this. So these are going to be my four key codes to trigger. And this, putting this in the inspector, then allows me, whenever I come back on the gameplay controller here, this allows me to choose which key I should be using. And there I can use the arrow keys from the keyboard, but I could also use any other gamepad buttons and things like that. So there I'm going to use the left arrow and the down arrow and the up arrow and the right arrow, like this. And these are going to be my my inputs. And so I'm going to call this inputs, like this. And there I'm also going to make a reference to the track. So there again, I'm going to duplicate this and call this the track. And there I'm going to use a serialize field for a private variable. So it's going to be a private track, which I'm going to call track, like that. And this is going to be the reference to the track. And now, because this is the reference to the track, I also want to let other components access the track, but I don't want them to be able to change it. So what I'm going to do here is then create an accessor like this, and I'm going to make it a public, and it's going to be of type track, and I'm going to call it track like this with that the underscore, and there I'm going to implement a get but no set. So implementing a get like this, I'll just say return track. So by doing this, I am allowing other components to access this track, but without being able to change it. And so this is something that we're going to set in the editor and that we cannot change from another component. And we'll obviously change this later when we want to let the player choose the track at runtime, and we want to have like a track picker view be able to assign a new track to the gameplay manager or the gameplay controller. So what I'm also going to do here is then add this is another quick trick here, but I'm going to add a new summary here. So this allows me to get some information as to what this property is doing here. So I'm just going to do this like that, and I'm going to call this the current track like that. And so if I get into another component, then I want to know what this track property is, then this is the information that I can get. It's pretty much the same thing as a tooltip. So when I do tooltip like this and set the tooltip for beats track to play like that, and so this is going to show up in the editor, and this will show up in mono behavior whenever I come and hover a property. There's another thing that I want to do just to make things very tidy. I'm going to use a region, and so I'm going to call this the mono behavior methods like this, and there I'm going to end the region like this. What I'm also going to add later is another region. So, and I'm going to call this gameplay. So I'm going to split this into different regions. Regions are very handy, as you can later go in here and then choose a region. It's like shortcuts that take you to different regions in the code. So what I'm going to do here is then say that I want to have a new method, and I'm going to call it play beat like this, and it's going to take an input, which is going to be an integer, and then I'm going to add a debug log of that input like this. And now I'm going to put in the update, I'm going to say if input, this is the input class of Unity, get key down, which is that key being pressed on that frame and not and only the first frame that it was pressed. And there I'll say left like this. Then I want to say play beat, and I'll pass 0, because the left key is basically the matches the 0, and so I'll do the same thing with all 4, and so I'll say 1, 2, and 3, and this is going to be down and up and right, and there I also have to end this region with end region and not another region. So this is end region like this. Using regions is very useful whenever you know that your class is going to have like different set parts of mechanics, such as the mono behavior and the gameplay. So there I just want to separate what is the initialization part, and where is the gameplay specific methods and members. So I'm just splitting this into two different regions, but this is just really just to help me sort this out in within the in MonoDevelop. So now I'm going to get back in the editor, and there I'm going to reference a track. So I'm going to reference the same track as I have in the track view, like this. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to start playing. And there, if I press the keyboard arrow keys, then I get to see that I've got this debug output here. And if I double click on it, it'll take me in there. So I get to see that this is triggering the playbit method. And then this playbit method is going to be the method that I'm going to add more code into, but in the update I don't have so much code to add. I'm just taking the inputs and then passing it into the playbit. This is somehow some pre-work, as I know that later I want to take this part into another component outside of the gameplay controller. So now that we've got this those inputs, we want to add the mechanics that said that every beat moves on the next beat, and then we want to make sure that whenever we play something, whenever we press an input, we want to be able to ask the question, is the input that we just pressed the one that is to be pressed now? And this is the mechanics that we're going to start adding in the next video.